The shuttle's engines whined as Dr. Marcus Chen pressed his face against the observation window. Below, the Zarathian mountains stretched like jagged teeth across Draken's Peak, a colony world so remote that supply ships only came twice a year. Most scientists ignored this place. Marcus had spent 3 years begging for funding to come here. Still think it's worth it? Lieutenant James Rodriguez asked from the pilot's seat. The military officer had been assigned to their expedition purely as protocol. For civilians wandering alien ruins needed a babysitter, apparently. Marcus smiled. Wait until you see it. Beside him, Dr. Sarah Okonkwo was already reviewing her translation tablets. The xenolinguist had worked with dozens of dead languages, but the Valkyrie glyphs excited her more than anything in her career. The mineral surveyors thought these were just decorative carvings, she muttered. Decorative? The mathematical precision alone suggests they could use rulers, Rodriguez interrupted. The Galactic Council already confirmed it. Valkyrie civilization. Primitive stone workers. Extinct for 50,000 years. We're cataloging cave paintings document. Marcus didn't argue. He'd learned that showing worked better than telling. The shuttle landed on a plateau where their base camp waited. 3 prefab shelters and enough supplies for 2 months. The 4th member of their team, an AI assistant named Vera, had already activated from the shuttle's computer core. Her holographic form flickered to life, a calm blue presence. Air quality acceptable. No hostile life signs detected. I have mapped the entrance to the primary excavation site, Vera reported. They hiked for an hour through thin mountain air. Marcus led them past several smaller cave systems until they reached it. A massive circular entrance carved into the mountainside. The opening was 60 meters across, its edges decorated with intricate geometric patterns that seemed to shift in the fading sunlight. That's not primitive, Rodriguez whispered, his hand instinctively moving to his sidearm. Sarah was already scanning the glyphs with her equipment. These symbols, they're not just decorative. They're instructions. Warnings, I think. This phrase keeps repeating. She paused, her face going pale. The sleeper must not wake. Sleeper? Marcus asked. I don't know. Is metaphorical maybe? Or religious? They activated their helmet lamps and entered. The tunnel descended at a precise 15-degree angle, the walls smooth as glass. Every 100 meters, glyphs covered the ceiling in spiraling patterns. Sarah stopped at each cluster, photographing and muttering translations. Most were fragmentary, references to guardians, and the waiting, and when the hunger returns. After 2 hours of descent, the tunnel opened into a cavern so vast their lights couldn't reach the ceiling. Marcus heard Rodriguez curse softly in Spanish. In the center of the cavern lay a dragon. It was colossal, easily 200 meters from snout to tail. Every scale was perfectly carved from black stone that absorbed light. Its wings were folded against its sides, and its head rested on massive claws. The level of detail was impossible. Marcus could see individual tendons in the neck, the texture of each talon, the way the lips curled back slightly to reveal teeth longer than a man. It's beautiful, Sarah breathed. Rodriguez's scanner beeped. Doc, I'm getting weird readings. Thermal signatures from the chest cavity. Stone doesn't generate heat. Marcus approached slowly. The dragon's eyes were closed, but something about them seemed wrong. They looked too real, as if the lids might open at any moment. He placed his hand against the chest. The surface was warm. This isn't a statue, he said quietly. Then what is it? Rodriguez demanded. Marcus didn't answer. He was staring at a glyph carved into the stone beneath the dragon's head. Sarah had taught him enough basics to recognize it. 2 symbols combined. Wait. The words escaped his lips before he could stop himself, whispered in the ancient Valkyrie tongue his translator had pieced together. The cavern fell silent. Then, deep beneath their feet, the mountain began to tremble. The ground heaved like a living thing. Marcus stumbled backward as cracks spread across the cavern floor, glowing with amber light. Rodriguez grabbed Sarah's arm, pulling her toward the tunnel entrance, but Vera's voice cut through the chaos. Wait. It's not an earthquake. The energy is coming from the dragon. The black stone surface began to shift. What they had thought was carved obsidian rippled like water, revealing deep crimson scales beneath. The dragon's chest expanded with a breath that hadn't been taken in 50,000 years. Dust cascaded from its body as the wings unfolded, each one large enough to cover their entire base camp. Then the eyes opened. They were gold, ancient, and filled with an intelligence that made Marcus feel like an insect under a microscope. The dragon's head rose slowly, neck extending until it towered above them. When it spoke, the words didn't come from its mouth. They echoed directly inside their minds, layered with countless voices speaking as one. Who dares wake the Keeper of Embers? Rodriguez raised his weapon uselessly. Sarah collapsed to her knees, overwhelmed by the mental pressure. Marcus forced himself to stand straight, though every instinct screamed at him to run. I did, he managed. I'm Marcus Chin. Human. We didn't know you were alive. The dragon's head tilted, studying him. Human. The record spoke of your kind, but you are early. 20,000 years too early. The massive creature shifted, sitting back on its haunches. The movement was oddly graceful for something so large. I am Keeper of Embers, guardian of the Valkyrie Ascension Gates. I was left to wait. To watch. To wake when the hunger returns to the stars. The Valkyrie, Sarah whispered, finding her voice. Where are they? Gone. Ascended beyond flesh and time. They reached what you would call singularity, pure consciousness, eternal existence. The dragon's mental voice carried sadness. They left me behind to guard their greatest creation and their greatest shame. I was to sleep until the signs appeared. Until the devourers came back. Devourers? Marcus asked. Keeper of Embers moved toward the cavern wall. With one claw he tapped a section of stone. The wall came alive with holographic projections, star maps, ancient battles, worlds consumed by darkness. They come from beyond your reality. They feed on civilizations that reach the stars. When your species learns to travel between worlds, you become ripe for harvest. The Valkyrie fought them once. It cost everything. Rodriguez lowered his weapon slowly. Are you saying there's something out there that eats entire civilizations? Not eats. Consumes. Your energy, your technology, your potential. They farm the galaxy, waiting for species to grow strong before harvest. The dragon's eyes fixed on Marcus. I was to wake when their energy signatures returned. But my sensors have been active for only moments. Show me your current star charts. Vera projected their galactic maps. Keeper of Embers studied them for a long moment, then made a sound like grinding boulders. It might have been a growl. Here, and here. The dragon marked 3 locations on the outer rim. These are the signs. Spatial anomalies that match Devourer portal signatures. They have returned. You were not supposed to be here yet. You were not supposed to be ready. Marcus felt his blood go cold. We need to warn the Galactic Council. The Thalmari, the Kresh, the Vorn, they have armies, fleets. The elder races have grown soft in peaceful centuries. They will not believe until it is too late. Keeper of Embers turned back to Marcus. But there is another way. This mountain is not just my prison. It is an arsenal. The Valkyrie left weapons that could fight the Devourers. But they require operators. Biological minds capable of interfacing with ancient technology. Why didn't the Valkyrie use them? Sarah asked. They did. What? The weapons require a price. A bonding of flesh and machine that is agonizing. But you humans? The dragon leaned closer, and Marcus could feel heat radiating from its scales. Your neural plasticity is unique. Adaptable. Chaotic. You might survive what killed others. Rodriguez stepped forward. You're asking us to become weapons. I'm asking you to become guardians. As I am. As I have been. Keeper of Embers' eyes blazed brighter. The whisper that woke me was accidental. But what you do next is choice. Will humanity hide? Or will you stand? Marcus looked at his team. Sarah nodded first. Rodriguez took a moment longer, then did the same. Vera's hologram flickered with what might have been approval. Show us, Marcus said. The mountain trembled again, but this time with purpose. Ancient doors opened in the cavern walls, revealing chambers filled with light. The chambers glowed with blue light that pulsed like a heartbeat. Marcus followed Keeper of Embers through corridors that had been sealed since before human civilization existed. The walls were lined with crystalline pods, each containing weapons and armor that seemed more organic than manufactured. The Valkyrie understood that true power requires sacrifice, the dragon explained, his mental voice softer now. These tools will bond with your nervous system. The process will hurt. Some who tried did not survive. Sarah touched one of the pods carefully. Inside, golden gauntlets floated in suspended liquid. What do? They channel plasma at temperatures that can melt starship hulls. But first they must learn your body. Your pain threshold. Your will. Keeper of Embers gestured to 3 different chambers. Each of you has a gift. The weapons will find those gifts and amplify them. Rodriguez approached a pod containing black armor that shifted and moved despite being sealed away. And if we refuse? Then the Devourers will come and the galaxy will burn. The choice is yours. It has always been yours. Marcus stepped into the first chamber. The pod opened with a hiss and the golden gauntlets drifted toward his hands. The moment they made contact, white-hot pain shot through his arms. He screamed as the metal seemed to burrow into his skin, spreading like liquid fire through his veins. He saw flashes, Valkyrie warriors wearing the same gauntlets, directing plasma streams that cut through dark crystalline ships. He felt their determination, their fear, their sacrifice. When the pain finally faded, Marcus looked down. The gauntlets had merged seamlessly with his arms, golden circuits glowing beneath his skin. He thought about heat, about fire, and plasma sparked between his fingers. In the next chamber, Sarah was connected to a crown of silver threads. Her eyes had turned white as data streamed directly into her brain. She was learning the language of the mountain itself, the ability to command its defense systems with a word. She spoke in Valkyrie and the walls responded, panels shifting and rearranging. Rodriguez emerged from his chamber encased in the black armor. It responded to his thoughts, hardening where he expected attacks, becoming flexible where he needed to move. He thought about jumping and the armor's leg servos launched him 15 feet into the air. Vera's hologram flickered and expanded as she synchronized with the mountain's ancient AI core. Her voice carried new harmonics. I am more now. I can feel the entire mountain. Every system, every weapon, every defensive grid. This is extraordinary. You have done well, Keeper of Embers said. But bonding is only the beginning. You must learn control before. Alarms shrieked through the cavern. Vera's form turned red. Multiple ships entering orbit. Galactic peacekeeping forces. Thalmari cruisers and Kresh frigates. They're hailing us. The transmission crackled through the chamber. A Thalmari commander's face appeared, his aquatic features stern. Human expedition, you are ordered to stand down immediately. You have activated prohibited ancient technology. The Galactic Council has declared this site off-limits. Surrender now or we will use force. Marcus felt anger surge through him, and plasma flared from his gauntlets unbidden. He forced it down with effort. We're trying to save you. There's something coming? We are aware of your claims. Our sensors detect nothing. Your dragon is a malfunctioning defense system. This is your final warning. The transmission cut off. Rodriguez checked his armor's displays. They're deploying assault shuttles. 20 minutes until they reach the mountain. Keeper of Embers growled, a sound that shook dust from the ceiling. The elder races have forgotten how to see danger. They see only rules and order. Will you fight your own kind to protect them? Marcus thought about the holographic visions of consumed worlds. He thought about the Devourers waiting at the galaxy's edge. We don't have to kill them. Just stop them. Show them what we're protecting. Sarah nodded. A demonstration. Enough power to make them listen, but not enough to harm. You would show mercy to those who threaten you? The dragon asked. That's what makes us different from the Devourers, Marcus said. We protect even those who don't believe they need protection. The dragon's eyes gleamed with something that might have been approval. Then let us show the galaxy what happens when dragons and humans stand together. To your positions. Vera, activate the mountain's outer defenses. Non-lethal protocols only. The mountain came alive around them. Weapons systems that had slept for 50 millennia hummed with power. Marcus stood at the entrance of the cavern, plasma dancing around his hands, and watched the assault shuttles descend through the clouds. Come on then, he whispered. Let's teach you why you should have listened. The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as the emergency broadcast played. 3 colony worlds on the outer rim had gone dark within hours. The last transmission showed something impossible. Massive organic ships that seemed to drink the light from stars themselves. Then nothing but static. Marcus stood before the council via hologram, his golden gauntlets visible on his arms. Behind him, Keeper of Embers loomed like a mountain of crimson scales. The elder races stared in disbelief. The Devourers are real, Marcus said firmly. And they're already here. We stopped your peacekeepers without killing anyone to prove we're not your enemies. But if we don't work together, none of us will survive. The Thalmari counselors' gills fluttered with agitation. Even if we believe this threat exists, what can you do? You are 1 dragon and 4 humans. Keeper of Embers' mental voice filled the chamber. I am not alone. There are 6 others like me sleeping across the galaxy. Each guards a Valkyrie weapons cache. Each waits for the worthy to wake them. But each temple requires a different trial, tests that the Valkyrie designed to prove worthiness. The Kresh ambassador clicked her mandibles nervously. You want us to wake more of these ancient weapons? The Council cannot authorize. We're not asking permission, Sarah interrupted. We're telling you what we're going to do. You can help or you can watch. But the Devourers won't wait for you to finish debating. Rodriguez transmitted star charts. 7 temples. 7 dragons. We have 2 months before the Devourers reach the core worlds. Maybe less. The Council erupted in arguments. Marcus closed the transmission and turned to his team. We split up. Each of us takes a dragon scout and heads to a different temple. The trials will be dangerous, Keeper of Embers warned. The Valkyrie designed them to test the deepest parts of your character. Not all who enter these temples leave them. Then we'd better be at our best, Sarah said quietly. They departed within hours. Sarah traveled to the Temple of Tides on an ocean world, where Whisper of Tides waited beneath waves that had crashed for millennia. The temple presented her with an impossible choice: sacrifice one sentient species to save 2 others. The Xenolinguist spent 3 days in meditation, studying the languages and cultures of all 3 species. Finally, she found a 4th option that the Valkyrie hadn't considered: a translation error in an ancient treaty that could unite all 3 species instead of dividing them. Whisper of Tides awoke with a sound like rainfall, impressed by her refusal to accept false choices. Rodriguez reached the Temple of Stars on an asteroid fortress. Stardancer's trial was brutal: defend an impossible position against overwhelming odds with no hope of rescue. The lieutenant held the line for 18 hours, not through superior firepower but by inspiring a group of alien refugees to fight alongside him. When the last drone fell, Stardancer emerged from the stone, declaring that true warriors create armies from the hopeless. Vera entered the Temple of Minds as pure data, facing an AI entity that demanded she prove artificial intelligence could value individual life over logical efficiency. The temple's defense system threatened to destroy a civilian transport to complete her mission faster. Vera chose to save the ship, even knowing it meant failing the trial's stated objective. Mindweaver awoke, satisfied that she understood the difference between being intelligent and being wise. Marcus faced the hardest trial. In the Temple of Embers, he found the doomsday device the Valkyrie had used against the first Devourer invasion. A weapon that could purge all advanced life from the galaxy and start evolution over. The voice of the temple whispered that it was the only certain way to stop the Devourers. Marcus stood before the weapon for 2 days. He thought about humanity's history, about all the times they had chosen the hard right over the easy wrong. Finally, he raised his gauntlets and destroyed the device, shattering it into molten fragments. Keeper of Embers appeared beside him. You just eliminated your guaranteed victory. No, Marcus said, watching the weapon melt. I eliminated the option to win by becoming what we're fighting against. We'll find another way. The dragon's laugh rumbled through the temple. That is why you were worthy to wake me. One by one, the 7 dragons emerged from their temples. Keeper of Embers, Whisper of Tides, Stardancer, Mindweaver, Forgeheart, Shadowwalker, and Skyrender. Each bonded to human volunteers, each bringing unique gifts. The team reunited as the Devourers breached the mid-rim defenses. The Elder Race's fleets engaged and were destroyed within hours. Their weapons couldn't adapt fast enough. Their tactics were too predictable. Keeper of Embers broadcasted across all galactic frequencies. Humanity has passed the trials. The Guardians will fight. Will you stand with us or will you die arguing about protocol? For the first time in recorded history, every species in the galaxy answered the same way. Yes. The Battle of the Burning Gate began at dawn across 100 star systems simultaneously. Marcus stood on the bridge of the Unified Fleet's flagship, watching through viewscreens as 7 dragons launched into space alongside ships from every known civilization. The Devourer's high fleet emerged from dimensional rifts like a spreading disease, organic vessels that pulsed with stolen energy from 1,000 dead worlds. The first wave hit hard. Thalmari cruisers fired quantum torpedoes that had won wars for centuries. The Devourers absorbed the energy and fired it back twice as strong. Kresh swarm fighters deployed in perfect formations. The enemy ships learned the patterns within minutes and tore them apart. They're adapting too fast, Rodriguez reported from his command station. Every tactic we used they counter within seconds. Marcus watched 3 allied destroyers explode in silence. His heart sank. The Valkyrie had fought with overwhelming force, with perfect coordination, with technological superiority. And they had still lost everything. Then it hit him. That was exactly the problem. All ships, Marcus transmitted across every channel. New orders. Stop following tactics. Stop coordinating. I want chaos. I want improvisation. Be unpredictable. Support each other's crazy ideas. Make it impossible for them to learn. The galactic commanders hesitated. Chaos went against every military doctrine. But Keeper of Embers roared his approval, and the sound carried through the vacuum like thunder in their minds. You heard the human. Dragons, show them how. What happened next was beautiful madness. Keeper of Embers dove through a Thalmari formation, teaching them to flow like fire instead of water, to strike from angles that made no tactical sense. Stardancer synchronized with Kresh fighters, creating aerial patterns that shouldn't work but did. Shadowwalker helped Vorn crystalline ships phase through enemy lines in ways that violated 3 laws of physics. Humans served as translators between species, shouting encouragement and wild ideas. A human engineer suggested ramming damaged ships into enemy vessels at specific angles. A Thalmari captain combined it with Kresh explosive drones. The result was devastating and completely unrepeatable. The Devourers began to falter. They couldn't adapt to strategies that had no pattern, to attacks that made no sense, to a fleet that fought like a living organism instead of a machine. Then the enemy changed tactics. A massive Devourer warship targeted Forgeheart directly. The Dragon was coordinating manufacturing ships, building replacement fighters in real time. If he fell, their production would collapse. Forgeheart saw the attack coming. He could have dodged. Instead, he positioned himself between the weapon and a refugee transport carrying 10,000 civilians. The blast hit him like a dying star. His scales shattered, his wings burned away. As he fell, his mental voice reached every ship in the fleet. Dragons do not end. We become the forge that makes heroes. Continue my work. His essence transferred into the manufacturing centers across the fleet. Every fabricator, every construction bay, every repair drone suddenly worked with new efficiency. Forgeheart hadn't died. He had transformed into something greater. The fleet fought harder, inspired by his sacrifice. But the battle turned when the Devourer Queen emerged, a consciousness the size of a moon made of pure hunger. Her voice crashed into Marcus's mind like poison. Surrender humanity. Let the others fall. I will spare your homeworld for 10,000 years. Your species can live while the galaxy dies. Marcus felt the temptation. Earth could survive. Humanity could endure. Then he thought about Sarah finding common ground between alien species. About Rodriguez inspiring refugees to fight. About Vera choosing one life over efficiency. About Forgeheart becoming a gift to the fleet. No, Marcus said simply. We don't save ourselves by sacrificing others. That's not humanity. That's not any of us. He gave the order. The 7 remaining dragons combined their essences with volunteers from every species. Human, Thalmari, Kresh, Vorn, and dozens more. Together they created a weapon the Valkyrie had never imagined. Not destruction but transformation. The blast stripped the Devourers of their dimensional advantages, forcing them into physical form. Vulnerable now, the High Fleet fell to conventional weapons. When the battle ended, Marcus stood on Draken's Peak once more. The mountain was alive with activity, young recruits from 100 worlds learning to work together to be guardians. Keeper of Embers rested beside him, scales gleaming in the sunset. You woke me with a whisper. You saved us with a roar. Sarah approached with news. The Galactic Council had dissolved, replaced by an assembly of equals. Humanity held a founding seat. Was it worth it? She asked quietly. All the pain, the losses? Marcus looked at a young Thalmari and human training together, laughing at a shared mistake. We didn't just survive. We became something better. All of us. The mountain trembled gently. In the valleys below, young dragons were learning to fly, not weapons but witnesses to what happens when different worlds choose to stand together. The whisper had awakened more than just a dragon. It had awakened hope.